Welcome to Hopeful Journey. I'm Pastor Bill Fix from Journey of Hope Community Church in Taylor, Michigan. And today I have Susan Kozak with us. She is the Director of Community Care Services in Lincoln Park. And we're glad that you're here, Susan.
Oh, I really appreciate you inviting me today. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how you became involved with mental health.
Well, Pastor Bill, it actually goes back to my childhood. As a child in the 60s, for anybody that grew up in the Detroit area, may remember Eloise, which at that time was it was called a sanitarium. And I remember my father, when we would drive by there and I would see people swinging on these swings. And I was so intrigued, and I always asked him, what are they doing? Who are those people? Why are they here? And he would tell me that they were people with mental problems. And, I never got that picture out of my head. And, I always had this desire to help and work with people. And went into social work school and got my master's in social work. And worked in several different kinds of settings, and here I am in community mental health, where the people really need our help.
Right, and you are the Executive Director of Community Care Services.
Yes, I am.
That's wonderful. It's a lot of responsibility.
It sure can be.
Yeah, you're a mother, and you're a grandmother, and you're a very busy executive. I can hardly believe that you can get it all done.
Yeah, well, the grandmother part is a lot of fun.
I imagine so. Where's Community Care Services located?
Well, our main office is in Lincoln Park, Michigan, but we're also in Taylor, and we provide services for all of the downriver communities, and also, as far out as Livonia, Plymouth, Canton.
Okay. How many counties does that is it primarily?
It's primarily Wayne County.
Wayne County?
But we do have some individuals that come from Monroe County.
Community Care Services, CCS, helps a lot of people. And how large is this organization? It seems to be, when I became involved in it, I was surprised at the number of people that were part of it.
We serve a lot of individuals a year, and it's continued to grow. Last year, we saw over 5,500 individuals and families.
Wow.
Throughout the year. We have close to 100 staff of social workers and doctors and nurses and other professionals.
Wow.
Yeah.
That has to be a challenge to lead 100 people.
It
and
is.
then to reach all of those clients. That's tremendous that you're doing that job.
It's amazing the number of people that need help. It surprises me how many people actually reach out for help. Sometimes
help is spelled H-O-P-E, hope. And I know that you provide hope for a lot of people. How does that work in the mental health community? How do you provide hope?
Well, some of our clients have actually described it to me as the hope comes from not being judged, feeling that they're welcomed, feeling that they're in a place where somebody is willing to listen and try and understand what they're experiencing without judging them and placing a stereotype on them.
I believe, as a pastor, I find that most people want to feel significant. They want to have friends that they communicate with and open up with, and I know that Community Care Services really provides that. I've met some of the employees there, and I've just been very impressed with your staff and the people that work there.
Yes, there's our staff are very caring. We have a trauma focus, which is really looking at where what people have experienced throughout their life, taking that into consideration, thinking about that, that people have come from poverty, abuse, neglect, all different types of life circumstances, and have really experienced so much, and it's amazing that they, still have the capacity to walk through the door and ask for help.
It seems like there are a lot of people on medications today that will alter their moods, their a lot of depressed people taking drugs for depression, medication for depression, and is mental health issues on the increase, would you say, or are we getting a handle on this now in our community and providing excellent care?
I think that there has been a lot of progress. There's obviously been a lot of news coverage when you have these incidents that happen in the schools or in, you know, other community areas, and that's usually when the focus, when there's some, you know, violent occurrence that happens, there's a lot of attention that's paid to that. But out of that, even though that's a negative stereotype of people with mental health issues, out of that comes attention, which then allows, you know, for more of the truth about mental health issues to come out. There have been a lot of famous people such as Patrick Kennedy, the son of Robert Kennedy, who has a drug addiction and a depression. Some people maybe remember Mariel Hemingway, the granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway. She was just at our national conference speaking about her family history, 7 suicides, and just the long family history of depression. So the more that people like that and speak out, the more others are willing to come in and get help.
That's great.
Yes.
I know that Community Care Services has many programs. Explain some of the programs and what they do, and the most successful ones, the ones that are really making an impact on the community and on mental health.
We have so many excellent programs that it's really hard for me to pinpoint a few, but a few of my that are dear to my heart and that we see so much growth is in our corrections programs. We see people when they're coming out of the correction system or the court system that are involved in some way that have mental health and substance abuse problems. These people come out at their neediest. Nobody wants to provide housing, nobody wants to give them a job, and I mean, we have really seen miracles with individuals turn their life around and, you know, become a success and a role model for other individuals in the program. Another program that I absolutely love is our supported education program, which is housed out of the Wayne County Community Colleges. And this is for individuals with mental health issues that want to go back to college. And it's a 6-month a semester program that helps them with adjusting with college life, studying, dealing with their symptoms in a classroom. And we just last week graduated 32 individuals, and 100% of them are registered for college in September.
That is wonderful.
Yes.
Now, how do you get them so excited about continuing with their education? And
well, there's great leadership there. We also utilize people that are in recovery themselves, are some of the, we call them peer coaches.
Oh, so you involve people who have been through the program.
Oh, absolutely. We have several prior clients who now are employed, and they are like coaches or tutors, and they really encourage these individuals to, you know, keep going. They talked about this winter with the bad weather. You know, they made it through. Everybody got a Wayne County Community College sweatshirt, and they were all excited about it.
Oh, that would have been a great picture to get a picture of all of them.
Yeah, we did get a picture of that.
Did you?
We're going to put it in our newsletter.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That is really good. What are some of the other successful programs you have? I know you do something with, is it with mothers that have addictions, or?
We do. We have a women's intensive outpatient program, and we do provide daycare at a licensed daycare facility. We support that financially. We also provide transportation. A lot of individuals have difficulty with those and with those two areas, with babysitting and with getting there. So we try and take away some of the barriers to help them get there. And, you know, that's another program where we've seen absolute miracles. And we have a story on our website of a young lady with a daughter who, after many, many years of a crack cocaine addiction, received the help, and she actually used the phrase, "I found hope in here."
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
That is good. The success stories really give you the energy to keep doing what you're doing.
They do, and there are so many of those. We see so many successes.
This summer, I really had the opportunity to see your kids camp close up, and some of those kids, I just fell in love with them. They were great kids.
And they fell in love with you, too.
We had so much fun together. Tell the audience some about the kids program.
Well, we run a literacy group during the school year where we bring in children who are having difficulties at school. These kids have been diagnosed with an emotional disorder, and we provide group activities, counseling, family counseling, with a focus on improving their school performance. And then in the summertime, we run a summer camp that extends that programming for these children, and they have the opportunity to visit the Ann Arbor, Science Museum. They spent a day with you with puppetry and magic. They go to the zoo, all different types of activities. They make crafts that have an educational component to it, where they learn something.
That's tremendous.
So they have a lot of fun, and the data shows that these kids do so much better in school. They've actually improved many grade levels.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for having a program like that. I'm sort of close to kids, and I love that.
It is
that kind of
wonderful.
thing. You also have some walk-in programs where people can walk in and have a clubhouse type of atmosphere. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we have a drop-in center where people can walk in and they can play pool, they can talk to people. It's a very casual, non-threatening type of environment. Maybe they're too shy or maybe intimidated to come directly into counseling. And this is a way to, for them to come in and start feeling relaxed in a relaxing setting, talk to other people who may be getting help. We also have a clubhouse where individuals come and learn employment skills. They have a food unit where they learn to cook so that they can get employment, possibly in a restaurant.
Sounds like fun.
Yes.
I might drop in and play pool sometime. I would like to do that. In the areas of mental health and substance abuse, what are some of the trends that you're seeing?
Well, with mental health, I do think that the stigma of mental illness is going away to some extent. It's still not totally gone, but we do see that people are feeling more able to come in and not be so self-conscious and feel that people are going to judge them, which is, that is a good trend. So people are reaching out, people actually getting help. That, to me, is huge with mental health. With substance abuse, on the other hand, there's still so much stigma that people avoid treatment. People feel so judged and feel that it's a character flaw. And they avoid coming in, and a lot of time they're on death's door before they actually reach out for help. Their addiction is so severe. And we see that a lot with women, especially because the shame is so great.
You're primarily an outpatient program. So for those that are addicted, do you have places where you can refer them if they need to be?
Yes, we have residential programs that we can refer to. There's inpatient programs, support groups.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Susan, it's been nice talking to you. We're going to take a break right now.
Thank you.
And we'll be coming back in just a few moments. You've been listening to Susan Kozak, the Executive Director of Community Care Services. and I'm Bill Fix, the Senior Pastor of Journey of Hope Community Church. We'll be back in a moment, and Susan is going to share something in her own life that she had undergone, and you're going to be very interested in what she has to say, so come back in just a few moments.
Women who become addicted to drugs or alcohol are just like everyone else. They have lives, loves, talents, and interests. Addiction causes them to lose control of their lives. It threatens their well-being and confidence. Ultimately, they can lose their jobs, their homes, and their children.
I had no futures. All them dreams and hopes and desires, it was gone. I was just waiting for death.
The 6-week Women's Intensive Outpatient Program through Community Care Services offers a way for women struggling with addiction to get their lives back.
The program helps women who are addicted to any chemical, including alcohol, marijuana, heroin, cocaine.
As part of the program, women meet together in a group of about 8 with an experienced, certified chemical dependency and mental health professional. The sessions total 16 hours per week for 6 weeks.
We address the physical, emotional, spiritual, how chemical use affects the family.
It's a warm, nurturing environment where we will help you to grow.
There's other people like me out there that have the same problems, and I watch them grow, they watched me grow.
The program gives women a healthy, supportive community to belong to, and the resources they need to recover.
You won't shock anybody with your stories. There's nobody here to judge. There's nobody that hasn't been where you've been.
If you're struggling with addiction, you'll be accepted for who you are and offered the help you need to get past your own personal challenges to getting well. Call 313-389-7500.
Lots of women have gotten their lives back. The program works.
Financial help may be available, and if you don't know how to get here or who will take care of your children, transportation and child care may be available too. Are you a woman who could use help to get healthy?
You're tired of running, you're tired of living that lifestyle. There's no hope out there, and there's hope here.
Call today, 313-389-7500.
Welcome back to the Hopeful Journey. Today we have Susan Kozak in our studio. Actually, we're outside of the studio enjoying this beautiful day that we have. And we've been talking to her about problems with mental health and how to treat mental health. And she is the Executive Director of Community Care Services. Susan, it's good to have you here in the studio today.
Thank you.
I'm amazed at how God orchestrated our meeting couple years ago. It was just tremendous. The timing, God knows exactly what we need and when we need it. So why don't you talk about that time when we met?
Well, I was scheduled to meet with you, and the Friday before our appointment, I was going to talk to you about joining our board of directors. And the Friday before that meeting, it's a day like a lot of Fridays, and I had a doctor's appointment, so I went home a little early that day. I was home by 4 o'clock, and I received a message at 4:20 that my daughter was dead.
Wow.
From a drug overdose.
Wow. That is the worst news that a mother could ever receive. And you received that news over the phone. It's very difficult. So what did you do at that point?
I have to cough.
You have to cough, okay.
Can you cut it?
That's okay.
I should have taken an extra sinus pill.
We're still running? Okay, good.
But you're going to cut it.
Yeah, he'll do it.
I have this bad feeling I'm going to keep coughing now. Because I've got that feeling in my throat now. Okay, where are we at now?
Well, during that time, I remember my wife and I, when I was communicating with you, and you told me what had happened, I was in shock, and I hurt so much in my own soul for you. And Dottie and I, my wife, we just prayed for you that God would comfort you during this tragedy. It had to be the worst thing that you've ever gone through.
It was. And I have to say, for not knowing you, it was amazing. It was one of the, I would say, major things, and not just because you're sitting here, that was so comforting to me, to have somebody that didn't know me. I don't even know if you remember, but you wrote me a very long email and prayed basically with me, and it was so comforting. And then during the time I was off after her funeral, I met you and Daddy for lunch, and it was just amazing. And I was able to share some pictures of my daughter with you, and I was able to cry and share the experience with you.
You have so many good memories of your daughter.
I do. My daughter was 27 when she passed away. So I have probably 26 years of wonderful memories with her. She showed horses. She was a champion horse rider. She went to France in the 5th grade, taking French on her own. She was a straight-A student. She was a loving, beautiful person inside and out. Many friends. Went on to started college. She had a car accident while she was in college, a very bad car accident, and hurt the back of her leg, and pretty severely. And they placed her on pain medication. And she took that medication for probably a good 6 to 8 months. And then following that experience, life went back to normal and she went back to school, but she started experiencing issues with female endometriosis types of issues, chronic pain, and she had multiple surgeries, and once again they gave her pain medication. This time around with the pain medication, and when I look back, I think they had she had gone through some hormonal changes where, because they had done a partial hysterectomy with her. She was a young woman, right. And she started experiencing, some of the symptoms of menopause, including depression, some depression. But she continued, unbeknownst to our family, she continued on with the pain medication. And by the time we found out, when this had gone on for maybe 6 months, 8 months. She was 26 at the time. She asked for help. She came and told us that she needed help. And we, of course, took her to a treatment center, and she came out, and being the type of person, she was a giver. She wasn't a person that took. She was always helping other people. And I think shame to some extent, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. She didn't want to tell us that she still had a problem. And she went from taking pain medication to using heroin. And that went on for maybe less than 6 months. And, I worried constantly about her. she would tell me she wasn't doing it anymore. And, you know, I wanted to believe her.
Certainly.
Because of the person that I had known for 26 years.
Right.
And the person that she was continuing to try and convince me. She was a very spiritual person. She prayed a lot. She read the Bible. And it wasn't until after she passed away that I found all the letters that she'd written to God, begging for help. She was afraid that she was a huge disappointment to us. But she went into another treatment center that year and came out, and she was dead within 6 weeks of coming out of that treatment center.
Wow.
And, you know, every day I think I worried that the worst thing was going to happen with her, because somehow you know your child, and I could see in her eyes that something was wrong. And Valentine's Day was the last day that I saw her. She came over to see me and wished me a happy Valentine's Day. Being the loving, brought me a Valentine's card. And I remember saying to her, Kate, I can't help you if you don't tell me what's wrong and that you need help. And she said, oh, I'm fine, Mom. And she left, and that was the last time I saw her, and she died 3 days later. So, you know, it was incredibly shocking for me. You know, my world stood still. You know, it's sort of surreal. You know, you don't quite feel that it's real, that it's happening. But it was like my worst fears had come true. And for the next weeks, I had met you over the next couple weeks, you know, I think that you're really sort of in a fog. The comfort helps, but trying to understand. And since then, one of the things that I've come to see is that, and it's not that I blame myself, but I think that I also carried stigma, and, you know, not wanting to believe that that could be my daughter. And, you know, we see that so much with the women that we work with, that it's not so much that people are in denial because they simply don't want to believe. It's often very just almost impossible to believe, and there's such a stigma, there's shame, and you know, what are family going to think, you know, that she relapsed again, what is her grandmother going to think, and you know, so you know, it changed me tremendously.
Those are difficult times that you have gone through. But I imagine that God is using that story to help other people. I know that there are a lot of people that are hurting today. People who are going through all kinds of things with their teenagers that are hooked on drugs, and parents' hearts are breaking, and they want so much for their child to come clean, and they'll do anything, like you would do anything for your daughter to get into a rehab, to get the help that she needed, and you would have helped her. I know that in the end, when you went to her room and you saw the letters, and I think, was it you that told me that there were crosses,
she
had collected crosses, and that
she had, in fact, I still have them. She had a collection of crosses that she had received when my mother brought one back from Spain and from all over the world, and rosaries as well from my grandmother. She had those hanging everywhere.
Wow.
The pictures in her room were of Christ, and that is some of what was so heartbreaking for me. She had many passages in the Bible underlined, and letters tucked in there where she had written. She struggled so much spiritually. You know, I've tried to take from that. You know, I put all the crosses where I can. It's a meditation room for me now, where I can go in and pray, and I can feel that I'm close to her, being with the things that meant so much to her. And it, you know, I think the spiritual emptiness and conflict that people feel with their values, that they're not living up to what they believe in, you know, and I sensed that from her, and I read that in her letters. And I believe that, you know, the work that you do, you know, spiritual counseling is so critical and so missing for so many people. But, you know, out of tragedy, you know, comes hope and joy. And, you know, for me, you know, I've been, it's not that my heart doesn't ache every day, and that I don't have days when I sit and cry. But in my prayer and meditation every day, you know, I'm able to see the blue sky, and I'm able to laugh and feel joy that I'm meant to be here right now, and she is meant to be where she is at, and that's comforting to me.
I've noticed a real zeal that you have in your life to help people. I think that your zeal has increased even through this tragedy. And God sometimes, in 2 Corinthians, allows us to go through tough times in our life so that we can help others when they're going through tough times. And I know you're an expert at doing that, and you're such a comfort to people. And I really have loved you and appreciate your work and your truthfulness, your honesty. You shared this story in front of 30-some pastors one day, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room that they could resonate with the hurt and everything that you had felt during that time. I know that there are people in our audience today that are struggling, that are going through some really hard times. There's some illnesses that seem to linger. Some of our audience has rebellious teenagers. Some of them are struggling with drugs. They know their children are experimenting, or they're hooked, or whatever. And I want to close our program with praying for them. But before I do that, would you mind just sharing with our audience how they could contact Community Care Services and perhaps get some help that would help them in their struggles?
Absolutely. We can be reached at 313-389-7500, and we're located in Lincoln Park and in Taylor. And anybody can call and just say, I need to talk to somebody. I think I need to get some help. They could talk to somebody on the phone before they actually come in, and we would be more than happy to help. Even a family member, if a family member needs to call to talk in advance and ask questions about how they maybe could work with their family member, we can help them with that also.
Okay. Is there a website that they can?
Yes, we have a website also. It's comcareserve.org, COMCARESERV.org.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, let's pray for those that may be struggling with some of these issues, and let's pray for Community Care Services, that it would continue to do the good work that it's doing in our community. And thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Let me pray. Father in heaven, I thank you for Susan. I thank you for Community Care Services and the work that they're doing in our community to help people with issues that they have been struggling with, that they seem to not be able to help themselves. And Lord, they just need to talk. They need someone who really cares for them, someone to encourage them, to get them on the right path, Lord. And I know that Community Care Services is doing that. We thank you, Lord, that you are our God and that you see all of the things that we go through. I thank you for being with Susan and comforting her through all the grief that she has gone through. She continues to struggle at times, Lord, as she remembers everything, but Lord, I know that you're there with her, walking with her every step of the way, and your arm is not too short. It reaches down and it touches and it helps, and we thank you for that. We thank you for this program today and for the time that we've been able to spend together. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen.
You've been watching Hopeful Journey. I'm Pastor Bill Fix from Journey of Hope Community Church in Taylor, Michigan, and Susan Kozak has been our guest today. If you are struggling with an issue that we've talked about, perhaps you'd like to call Community Care Services or the church. The church can be reached at 313-292-1660, or you can contact Community Care Services and receive some help. And God bless you, and thank you for tuning in today.